What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NFL Draft Bible Prospect Profits. We're back. I'm back from vacation. Alec is out doing his own little vacation. I think he's seeing a Mets game. That's the wrong sport, Alec. Um, we're going to talk about the Washington football team and the Los Angeles Chargers today. We're going to go through their roster, go through what we've been doing with some other teams. The Chargers and the football team played each other week one. That's where we're pairing them together. Going to go through their cap, their kind of future health. We're going to give their over under on wins. It's going to be a fun show. Just me and Lorenz, just the OG too. Like I said, we're the Prospect Profits on the Fan Nation Network, powered by Sports Illustrated. Lorenz, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. I finally, I'm back in the Prospect Profits merch. Here you go. It's cold enough. It's been raining all the time. We've had very British weather over here in Germany. And no, we got two exciting teams today, the Chargers and the Washington football team. I think we've been saying that these are teams that are on the ascent, but I think for these teams, for different reasons. One, it's the quarterback. The other team, it's the defense. They're on the ascension, but yeah, or they're ascending teams. I think that was bad English there. But,
No, you said that. Close enough.
Whatever. But yeah, like I said, these are two interesting football teams. Jack, you've again done amazing work to prepare this background information. I'm excited to chop it up a little.
Great, yeah. I'll get started. We'll start with that original kind of future outlook, or this new batch of guys. So we'll start with the Chargers. They drafted Rashawn Slater in the first round. He's kind of an offensive tackle, interior offensive line guy, depending on who you ask. They drafted Asante Samuel, the corner out of Florida State. He's outside or inside guy, depending on who you ask. They got Josh Palmer, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. Trey McKitty, one of Lorenz's favorite players, possibly ever. Chris Rumpf, the defensive end from Duke. Brennan James, the offensive guard from Nebraska. Nick Neiman, the linebacker out of Iowa. Larry Roundtree, the running back out of Missouri, and Mark Webb, the defensive back out of Georgia. In terms of young talent on a rookie deal, again, just to reiterate, these are the cheapest. These are rookie deals of guys who are proven studs. The Chargers, I could only find three that I was absolutely certain of, and that's Mike Williams, their wide receiver, Justin Herbert, of course, their brand new quarterback who had a great first year, and then Derwin James, who is up for a contract extension any minute now, pretty much. So Lorenz, what do you think of this young core of players? What do you think of this draft class? What do you think of the nucleus moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's a solid draft class. I think it was, or I was one of the people that were a little bit lower on Rashawn Slater. At the end of the day, I get why they did what they did. I think they did a great job in free agency and now with the draft, building this offensive line. Like I said, I think Rashawn Slater at the end of the day is going to be better inside than he is at tackle. It's just my opinion. I still think, looking at what the landscape of tackles is right now in the NFL, he's got a shot to play there at tackle and be a good tackle. Maybe he proves me wrong like Justin Herbert did last year, but I think Asante Samuel is someone who in this zone scheme can play on the outside. I really love the fit there. I think he can be a plug-and-play starter because he's so good in space. That was always his deal. He's not a press man guy, not a man cover corner. That's the guys who go round one. Day two, you get the really good zone corners, and I think that's exactly what Asante Samuel is. Such a quick trigger, really explosive in space. Looking at the rest of the draft class, got some players that are going to contribute. Josh Palmer and Trey McKitty in the passing game. Trey McKitty, I think, can catch and block with those huge, 11.5-inch hands or however big they are. The big meaty claws. Yeah. Right there, which Darian Kennard is that guy this year. He's got like 11.5-inch hands or something like that. But I don't think it's going to be crazy. Mike Williams you include as young talent on first deal. I think if healthy, Mike Williams is a really good number two. How good he is in the air. His body control is pretty crazy. And Justin Herbert, we know, is a guy who can air it out. Getting to Justin Herbert, all the physical traits in the world, I thought he would need a year, 2 years potentially to get acclimated to the NFL. His timing in that Oregon offense, just accuracy, decision making. There were things that I didn't think he'd be able to be as good a quarterback as he's already been. Now, do I think there could be a bit of a regression in play? I do, but I think Justin Herbert's going to be a good, solid, fringe, borderline Pro Bowl quarterback. He's going to have some Pro Bowl years in this Chargers offense because, like I said, they did a great job putting new people around him. Then Derwin James, the best safety, top 5 defensive player in football, if healthy. That's just the thing with him. I mean, we're seeing this guy could probably start at outside corner and be a quality player. He can start on the roof, be a quality player. He can play. He can play in the box. I mean, he's just a tremendous talent. Hoping he stays healthy. One of my favorite players in the league. So you really have your cornerstone pieces set on offense and defense. Now, just the health factors just gotta work for the Chargers, and they'll be set there with those players. So.
Yeah, the way I see it, having Derwin James as a defensive weapon, Justin Herbert has already been an electrifying talent. Those are very nice things to have on a rookie deal. So next up, we'll talk about their salary cap, their money situation, their roster as a whole. They currently have about $47 million in space, or $47.5 million in space for the 2022 offseason. That's pretty good. That's pretty healthy for a right now cap. Their future cap in 2023, they got $89 million, and then in 2024, jumps up to $170 million. So that's probably when a lot of these rookie or these young guys are getting paid. But that's a nice increase. There's healthy jumps there. It should be sustainable in the short, in this next 3 years. Their top 5 cap hits are Joey Bosa, who just got paid. I think it was last offseason. Keenan Allen gets paid pretty well. Brian Bulaga, their offensive tackle, he has a $14 million cap number. And then we get into some guys who, are important, but I wouldn't say are massive talents on this roster, massive like cornerstone pieces necessarily. In Corey Linsley, the center, and Michael Davis, the corner. Corey Linsley drawing $11.6 million, and Michael Davis drawing $9.4 million. Those are important positions. You pay those positions as you can. But that's just interesting to note how high their 4th and 5th players are paying for not being as much of a cornerstone player. Now that can point towards their overall health being improved, or having good cap health, in that they're not overspending, giving a lot of players massive contracts. So then getting into the rosters themselves, I gave them 4 strengths. I gave them quarterback Justin Herbert, wide receiver in Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and then they brought in a young guy, Josh Palmer. There's depth there. There's room to grow.
Friend of the show.
I made running back a strength. I gave them Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson there as a strength, and then I gave safety a strength. I gave Derwin James really carries the safety position. I think Nasir Adderley is fine, but Derwin James is obviously top 5. I think you said top 5 defenders in the game.
If healthy. Dude's an absolute baller. It's just yeah. I mean, tell me 5 defensive players that are better. Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett, and then I'll start arguing.
Yeah, I agree.
Jalen Ramsey. There's 3, and then you won't find 2 more.
Exactly. Weaknesses with this improvement on the offensive line this offseason, I found no major weaknesses, no clear as day weaknesses. But there's a lot of average or unproven positions. Offensive line, I consider unproven right now, just for this system, this group. Rashawn Slater is obviously, we talked about him all last cycle. He's got a few question marks about being an offensive tackle. Tight end, I considered average. They got Jared Cook. They lost Hunter Henry. Defensive line, I said average because they lost Melvin Ingram, while they still have Joey Bosa. Obviously, Joey Bosa is one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. But losing Melvin Ingram, they don't really have as much, power in that defensive line anymore. I said their linebacker group was average. I haven't yet watched Kenneth Murray's rookie season. I don't know if you did.
I don't know. I wasn't the biggest Kenneth Murray guy coming out, and I think he was a lot of what I expected. A lot of missed tackles and just average in coverage. But, man, he's a big athletic dude. Maybe it kind of works out for him, but I just never saw the type impact first-round linebacker, and I don't think he was last year. Now, if anyone's going to disagree with me, feel free, because I'm, not set in stone in that opinion. But, yeah. I mean, I think he was a bit of a reach. Trade up for him. I didn't see it.
And then, lastly, cornerback, the position I put as average. They have Chris Harris, And then they've kind of lost a lot of talent there. Obviously, if Sante Samuel is good, which I'm an Asante Samuel fan. Obviously, if he's good, then the unit as a whole will be a little bit better. But I'm gonna settle on average for now. Lorenz, any conflicts with that? Any disagreement? You think that's a solid? Do you agree with the fact or with what I said about not too many weaknesses there?
No, I agree with you, and even groups like the defensive line group, where you could say, hey, they're maybe not that's not they. Man, they still got Joey Bosa. You might want to try to knock the group a little bit, but like you said, he's one of the best pass rushers in the game. I think at corner they're pretty deep. You just talked about Michael Davis at $9.4 million, their fifth highest paid player. I just want to shout out quickly. I mentioned it earlier, but what they did on the offensive line was tremendous. You now got your left tackle, Rashawn Slater. You got your left guard, who's probably going to be Matt Filer. Center, Corey Linsley, who you added. Those are all three new adds this offseason. Filer could also be playing right guard. And then you added Bulaga two off seasons ago to play right tackle. I think that's now an above-average line if they all perform like I expect them to. Now, Corey Linsley sort of got banged up. I don't think we got anything in depth on him yet. But, yeah, really shout out to what they did there. And this is a team that, like you said, doesn't really have a lot of weaknesses if you just look at their personnel groupings, which is obviously, if you have a quarterback on a rookie deal, that's exactly what you want.
Especially that could have won in going into only the second year of his deal. Lastly, their future draft, their 2022, they currently own all their picks, and they're expected, according to Tankathon, about 4 compensatory picks, which I don't know. I'm a guy who tracks compensatory picks. Their draft picks, that's 4 more rookie players. They're all I think 3 of them were 6th-round picks and 1 was a 7th-round pick. So they're late picks. They're going to be darts, but that's 11 picks going into the draft. That's a healthy batch.
And next year,
if
there's a year you want compensatory day 3 picks, 3rd-round picks, 4th round, 5th round, man, next year's going to be deep.
Mm-hmm. So, Lorenz, the Chargers. First and foremost, I'm going to say that they're a healthy team. They got a healthy salary cap, healthy draft pick influx, healthy enough young group of talent. I wish there was more young studs on rookie deals, but I think that they just drafted a few of them. Over-under for next year is 9.5 wins. They play the Chiefs twice. That's something to consider. They play the Broncos twice. That's also something I'd consider. The Broncos are a good roster. They just, What do you think? I'm gonna go over.
That is tough.
I know.
That is really tough because I do think they got a really good chance finishing second in that division. We'll get into the Broncos at some point. We'll get into the Raiders. I think the Raiders are a better team than what people want to give them credit for. I think the Broncos have a loaded roster. I just don't trust any of their quarterbacks. So I do trust Justin Herbert more in that situation. I'll go over 2. I think they get to 10. I think they have to. Brandon Staley new head. Don't have to, but it will be a bit of a disappointment if they get to 500, 8-9 wins. I think that's going to be all right. But I think they get to 10. They end up getting to 10 in a tough division. But anyways, I think they can get it done there in the AFC West and clinch that wild card spot.
I put up their schedule. Now I'm a little wavering. They play the Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, Washington, Dallas, Chiefs, Raiders, Browns, Ravens, Patriots, Eagles, Vikings, Steelers, Broncos, Bengals, Giants, Chiefs, Texans, Chargers, Raiders.
It softens up down the stretch. You can win 10 there, but I don't know unless you lose it early.
Yeah, no, I'll stick with 10. All right, on to the Washington football team. That is the Washington football team. They drafted this year Jamin Davis, a linebacker to Kentucky. Samuel Cosby, the offensive tackle, one of the top considered. I just saw what you did. Samuel Cosby, offensive tackle to Texas. Benjamin St. Juste, one of our favorite corners in the draft this year. De'Ami Brown, the wide receiver out of UNC. John Bates, the tight end out of Boise State, had a big had a big Senior Bowl day. Derek Forrest, the safety out of Cincinnati. Cameron Cheeseman, a long snapper out of Michigan. Love a Cheeseman long snapper. William Bradley King, the edge rusher out of Baylor, and Shaka Toney, the edge rusher out of Penn State. And then last but not least, Dax Milne, the wide receiver out of BYU. And then young talent on their first deal. This is where the strength of this team really shows. They have Chase Young on a rookie deal, Deron Payne on a rookie deal, Montez Sweat on a rookie deal, Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, and Cameron Curl on rookie deals. Lorenz, yeah, I see didn't like the inclusion of Cameron Curl, but that core, everything else, if you want to ignore the Cameron Curl, that everything else, that's a nice group. That's a front seven. There's a lot of talent in that draft class they just had. A lot of talent on rookie deals. What do you think?
I mean, I just sort of Cameron Curl. I mean, he's not a young stud in my opinion, but let's talk about the other guys who are absolutely positively young studs. Chase Young, one of the best young pass rushers in the game. You can make a case he's already almost said make a chase. You can make a case he's already top 10 to top 15 pass rusher in the league. Deron Payne's an absolute stud up the middle. Montez Sweat, another guy out there off the edge, man. If Montez Sweat is your number 2, that is excellent. He could be that number 1 pass rush type guy. All the traits in the world. If you talk about length, power, straight line athleticism, Antonio Gibson, I think is going to be. Man, he was better as a rookie than I expected, than a lot of people expected, and he was really someone that was expected to be a second, third year player. So, and I think there's still something there to be seen for Antonio Gibson. He's going to be stud running back there, can run it and catch it, tremendous size, great athlete, really everything you look for. Now just looking for a bit more of those instincts, but that was something we were looking pre-draft, and we were kind of saying, hey, man, I don't know about Antonio Gibson running back. He had to move out to wide receiver because they had a better run back coming in. I forget all about that. He's a really good NFL run back. And then Terry McLaurin might be the most underrated wide receiver in the game. I mean, dude's 6'3", runs 4.35, is a tremendous route runner, attention to detail, wins the ball in the air. He's so good. I mean, like, the Terry McLaurin disrespect, if you see some of the lists, say who's the top receiver in the league, is absolutely crazy to me. Man, he does everything you want to have. Yeah, I mean, Terry McLaurin's just an absolute stud. I mean, he does not get talked about nearly enough, and I hope Fitzmagic's going to be putting the ball up to him a lot because it's going to be exciting. Terry McLaurin is an absolute stud.
Yeah, and one of my favorite stats about Antonio Gibson, just to go back to him, something I brought up during a My Guys Monday. Yeah, thank you. Not Terry McLaurin. Antonio Gibson has less career touches, college and NFL college and NFL touches than Javonte Williams, who was just drafted by the Broncos. So putting together a whole college career and whole NFL career so far, he has less reps already than a guy who hasn't even set foot, in the NFL yet, Javonte Williams. So
Javonte didn't have that many carries.
Still.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So he, his odometer has a lot of room. He's got a lot of tread on the tires. He can wreak havoc in the NFL for a long time. I think over the summer, I think I gave him like a future grade of a top 10 running back in the NFL. All right. So then and I'm also a big De'Ami Brown fan, but that's topic for another conversation, another day. So working on cap, this current offseason, this upcoming offseason, they are projected to have $44.5 million in cap space. So just a little bit less than the Chargers have, but still very solid, very healthy amount. In 2023, they're expected 85, just a hair under $86 million. And then in 2024, it doubles. They're at 167 mil. So that's, again, a healthy jump that doubles every year. That's good to see. Their top 5 cap numbers this year. Landon Collins, that's a terrible contract. They're paying $16.2 million on Landon Collins. A box safety. I think Landon Collins was an exciting draft, guy in his cycle. I wanted the Eagles to get him. I am okay that they didn't. That is way too expensive to pay a box safety. William Jackson, one of my favorite corners in the NFL. I think he's a very underrated guy. He's their next guy. They signed him this offseason. They also signed Curtis Samuel, who's the 3rd highest paid player. He's a wide receiver. Kendall Fuller is paid just above $11 million, and then their center Chase Rollier, or Rollier, depending on how you pronounce your French words, at just around $10 million.
This one is actually Frenchly pronounced.
Yeah, Rollier. That'd be Rollier, right? Yeah,
Rollier.
the French, you're the German. Yeah. So, you see, their contracts are free agent guys. Landon Collins, William Jackson, Curtis Samuel. Didn't they reacquire Kendall Fuller? I'm blanking. It's been a while, but yeah. Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Lorenz.
He's technically a homegrown guy, but not really, because he was part of the Alex Smith trade, if I'm not mistaken. But now they brought him back. So
that's right. That's what it was. So yeah, technically, top 4 guys are all free agent acquisitions. So they are shelling out a lot of money for these free agents. But the girth of their talent, a lot of their team is really found in players that they are homegrown, they've drafted, and across that defensive line, of course. So their strengths. I put running back. They got Antonio Gibson and Jared McKissick. Wide receiver, they got Scary Terry and Curtis Samuel, which, wide receiver was considered a weakness this past offseason. They needed a second wide receiver to take the pressure off of Scary Terry. Edge rusher, obviously, Montez Sweat and Chase Young. That's going to be dastardly for a few years. Interior defensive line, they got Matt Ioannidis, Deron Payne, and Jonathan Allen. And if I remember correct, Jonathan Allen just got a contract extension. Cornerback, they have Kendall Fuller and William Jackson, who, like I said, I'm a little bit higher on, so I'm considering that a strength. And then at safety, they got Cameron Curl and Landon Collins. That's because I like Cameron Curl.
You love Cameron Curl. I like Cameron Curl.
I love Cameron Curl. Weaknesses, just like the Chargers, no major weaknesses. There's places that obviously aren't perfect. We'll get to those in a second. There's average and unproven areas, but no clear defined weaknesses. Average and unproven. Quarterback, I love the Fitz magic. I'm considering him average. Tight end, I'm considering average at this point. Offensive line, this is a little up, kind of up and down. They got Eric Flowers. They got Samuel Cosme if he shows up. And they've got Brandon Sheriff. I said that their offensive line average, at times a little bit below average. And then linebacker, I said unproven because of Jamin Davis. I think he's going to do great there, but I'm considering it unproven for now. Lorenz, what do you think of that roster? What do you think of that team? Do you think they got no weaknesses?
I mean, I think you can argue putting O-line and linebacker in there, and even to depend on where you want to make the cut for weakness, the quarterback position, I do think they upgraded there. Being completely honest, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, with the circumstances around him being right and him having some wide receivers that can make plays in the air, he can lead you to a lot of wins. He's got that kind of factor that he's gonna have a stinker where he maybe throws 3 picks and loses you a game, but he can also add that spark. Now is it gonna happen for 3-4 seasons? No, but we've seen it with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with the New York Jets. Hey, if Ryan Fitzpatrick is on for a season, you can win football games with this guy. That's what they're banking on. I think he'll be average, so I think that is fair. Like I said, offensive line and linebacker, you can say that's a weakness right now. I'm not as high on Jamin Davis as you are. Certainly see the upside. I just don't see the year one impact. But, man, we got to talk about this receiver core. I just raved about Terry McLaurin. I evaluated Curtis Samuel. I think this guy can be an absolutely dynamic playmaker. Now, I didn't want him to walk into a situation where he had to be the guy in an offense. Luckily, they got Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin to take care of that, especially Scary Terry. Man, you got Curtis Samuel. This guy can do so much for you with the ball in his hands from the slot. He's another player that's got legit 4.3 speed. He's going to be able to stretch defenses vertically, open even more space for Terry McLaurin. Correct me if I'm wrong. Outside of Terry, they've been kind of weak at the wide receiver spot in the last couple of years, so he's going to ease that up. Maybe De'Ami Brown, if he can catch the football more consistently, he can be a contributor on that offense. Certainly got the movement skills and the speed to be another vertical guy. Just likes to fight the football a little bit. Defensive line, we don't got to talk about. This is the best defensive line. I don't want to skip over anyone, but I'll say top 3 because someone's gonna find some defensive line. I'll feel stupid, but it's certainly up there. Safeties, no, the Eagles aren't. Safeties, you could argue Cameron Curl and Landon Collins. You can put like in the slightly above average tier. You don't have to put it in the strengths tier. I still like Cameron Curl. I think he's a solid player. Cornerback, it just comes down to health. If William Jackson can be out there and can play and is healthy, I think it's a strong group. If not, I think it could be a bit of an issue. I don't know about their depth there at that position, but I think he stacked it pretty well. I think I'm maybe a little bit more pessimistic at a couple spots, but overall, this is a good roster.
Yeah, that's fair. I think those are valid critiques. It upsets me how much I kind of like this Washington football team roster for what it is, for having Fitzmagic, for what they have at the wide receiver, but after Curtis Samuel and Scary Terry. Anyways, future draft picks 2022, they have everything except for they have all their own picks except for their 5th round pick. So which I think they gave to the Eagles, actually, if I remember correctly. So their over-unders 9.5 wins. Lorenz, I'm just going to read through you their opponents: Patriots, Bengals, Ravens, Chargers, Giants, obviously, Bills, Falcons, Saints, Chiefs, Packers, Broncos, Bucks, Panthers, Seahawks, Raiders, Cowboys, Eagles, Giants.
Over.
Yeah, I'll give them the over because of Ron Rivera. I think they're going to have that stability. Where the Chargers, it's like a little bit closer for me because they do have a new coach. I think that they will edge out. I think they'll pretty much beat. They might sweep the NFC East. Is what I'm maybe.
I mean, you're not gonna win 6, but
at least 5.
You can win 4. You can win 4 games there. Absolutely. You're good.
I think they can beat the Eagles both times.
Should sweep the Eagles, but weird stuff happens. You can absolutely split with the Cowboys, and you can absolutely sweep the Giants. Maybe you can get 5. I'll say they get 4 there, but there's a lot of winnable games. I thought just listening through that schedule, I think they win 10, 11 games.
I'd lock in 4 wins in the NFC East. I could see them getting. I see it. That's what Vegas is good because they put in that I know why they have it at 9.5. I'll give them 10. I'll go over. I say they win the division because I do think they're the best team in the division. I think the Cowboys have too many issues, which we'll talk about later. The Giants are weird. So we're both going over for the Chargers and the Washington football team. Lorenz, any final thoughts?
No. Yeah, thanks for preparing all of this. This was once again very interesting. Kind of caught me off guard there. Sorry. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. You can find all of our stuff. First of all, go to Twitter, follow the @Prospect Profits @ProsProfit. It's typed down there below.
@Pros Profits. It's short for Prospect.
There you go. Go follow that one to get all the updates. Know when we're going live. You'll soon get the streams on there whenever we figure out all the technicalities and whatnot. And then please go to si.com/NFL/draft. Go get all of the scouting reports, all of our exciting things. And we got video content up there. We got weekly articles. There's going to be a scouting lens coming out for everyone on Thursday, which is going to be the first one of the year. Head to Recharge, watch some prospects. Go get those scouting reports. Really proud of the scouting staff. We have over 300 players written up in our database. It's like we're adding like 20, 25 a week to that. There's multiple players. We have multiple scouts' opinions on, so you can get sort of a cross-check if you don't agree with one. Go get that subscription. You get all the amazing content. I think you'll even get the Sports Illustrated publication. You'll get all the premium content on the other on the other Fan Nation platform. So it's worth it. Go get it. Jack, you got any final shots?
Yeah. This week, shout out Rusty Miller. Rusty. Me and him are launching. I'm launching the pro personnel department. We're gonna be putting out some pro scouting reports. It's gonna be great for free agency. It's very exciting. Happy to be back, Lorenz. I had a nice little vacation, but it's time to get to work. And Alec will I assume Alec will be here on Thursday. I don't think he's got another Mets game. Poor guy's a Giants and a Mets fan, or he's a Yankees fan. Anyways, thank you everyone for coming. Can't wait to see you next time. Have a good one.
Imagine voluntarily going on vacation.